And Ndwaru was an interesting character. One of my assignments was to make sure that we had good relations with Ndwaru because he owned the building. And we were staying there for not very much rent. And so I would go down and he would buy me, at 10 o'clock in the morning I would go down and he'd be in the bar and he'd set me down and buy me these Tusker beers, these liter bottles of beer, right? And at 10 o'clock in the morning you're drinking these Tusker beers, and by noon you're just totally, in bad shape. But he would tell stories about how he got to be where he was. And he had been a mayor of Nairobi at one point. He had been part of the Mau Mau rebellion in the 50s when Kenya was fighting for independence. And he had gotten he was a young man at the time, and he had gotten so sickened at all the violence and the bloodshed that he decided that enough. He was not going to be a part of this anymore. And so he decided to go to America. And this is where my perception as an American changed, and what allowed me ultimately to come back and be okay with being an American again. And he decided that all he knew was he needed to get to the west coast of Africa, and Dakar is where he was headed. And he figured that there he could get a ship and he could get to America, and he talked about it. He said, and he never made it, of course. Got to somewhere in the Central African Republic and had to come back and then live for several years in the Sudan, and then finally made it back down to Nairobi, where his family still was after independence had happened. And it was clear to me, though, that it was still the United States, in his mind, was this light, a beacon on the hill. I mean, it was the city of God for him. And I realized what the power, regardless of what was going on in the United States and what kind of craziness was happening internally, that the image of the country was this beacon of hope for the rest of the planet. And so I began to change my sense of what I was able to tolerate in terms of the United States, and it kind of relates to my then sadness at the first years of the 21st century, where the United States squandered that image, that global image of being a symbol of hope, and instead decided to become the evil empire for the rest of the world, which was verified by my trips to out of the country then after 2000. But so Ndwaru was quite a character, and very much supportive of us.